Let's start this morning with the launch of an armed rebellion in Russia and the greatest challenge to Vladimir Putin's power in years. Russia's notorious mercenary leader of the Wagner group, Yevgeny Prigozhin, ordered his troops to march on Moscow Friday in a bid to oust Russia's top military leadership.
Military facilities in Rostov, including the airfield, are under our control. Planes that leave for combat work leave as usual. No problems. Medical flights are leaving as usual. All we did was to take control so that the attack aviation would not strike us.
The Wagner group has been supporting Putin in his illegal invasion of Ukraine, but Prigozhin became critical of Russia's justification of the war and accused the Kremlin of launching it to benefit Russian elites. Almost, though, as abruptly as the rebellion started, it ended and a deal was reached. Prigozhin will now go to neighboring Belarus, and charges of mounting an armed rebellion will be dropped. What does it all mean for Putin's leadership and the war in Ukraine? Retired General Mark Kimmitt was the former U.S. Assistant Secretary of State for Political Military Affairs. Hi, General Kimmitt. Good to see you again, sir. Thanks for making the time.
Certainly.
Where does what's happened in the last 48 or so hours leave Vladimir Putin from where you sit?
I think he's much weaker than he used to be. This sense of a strong, determined, unchallengeable world leader inside Moscow has now been somewhat reduced to a questionable leader of Russia. One wonders whether he will be in charge a week from now. And it's very likely this may be an opportunity for his political opponents to come to the front.
The fact that at this moment we don't even know his whereabouts, what does that say to you?
Well, I think that's just a expected result of what's going on right now. This has been a major assault. Prigozhin crossed the Rubicon. Now, in fact, he did back down, but I suspect that President Putin still has concerns about his own welfare and his own stability in terms of leading Russia. So it will be a day or two, I think, before we see him.
Could you have imagined even a week ago saying, General, that a week from now we would be unsure of Vladimir Putin's grip on power?
No, that really is surprising. I candidly have been surprised throughout that Putin has not cracked down on Prigozhin. And to let Prigozhin go this far, I think it's not only surprising, but a demonstration of how tenuous Putin's grip on power really is.
And what do you think that means in the greater context? And by that, of course, I mean more specifically the war on Ukraine.
Well, in the greatest context, of course, is we've got to ensure, first and foremost, that the nuclear codes and the nuclear stability is maintained from the Russian arsenal. In terms of Ukraine, which is a far second, I think there was an opportunity in the past 24 hours for Ukraine to take advantage of the situation, particularly if Putin had pulled first-line units out of Ukraine to defend his position. I think that opportunity is gone, and I think we will soon return to the grind that we've been seeing for months and months.
Let me parse apart that answer for 1 second. Are you worried about the nuclear aspect of this?
Not anymore. I would have been worried if we were seeing fighting in the streets right now in Moscow and a question about who is in charge. But I think things have stabilized to the point. I have absolutely no doubt that the United States is talking to Russian nuclear military authorities. And I think more than likely, calm and caution has returned to the protocols.
I take your point on sort of the pragmatic aspect of things returning to normal, whatever normal is at the moment in the war on Ukraine. But I wonder from more of a kind of esoteric perspective, maybe, what a weakened Putin means overall for Russia's efforts against Ukraine and maybe even more so Ukraine's ability to fight back.
Well, I don't think this really affects Ukraine's ability to continue their planning for the counteroffensive. And I'm of two minds regarding a weakened Putin in Ukraine. On the one hand, he may realize the public discontent expressed through Prigozhin for the war, and he may try to move towards more reasonable negotiations. On the other hand, he might just say, it's time to double down. Let's get tougher, let's get harder, let's finish this thing off and get on to the business of Russia. I don't think anybody can predict that at this point. He is somewhat of a cryptic character. I think we'll find out in the days and weeks to come what decision he'll make in that regard.
And General, what's your assessment right now of where Ukraine stands in the launch or the planning to launch that counteroffensive? Do you envision that it will be effective?
Well, first of all, they have launched the counteroffensive. They sent out their probing attacks over the past couple of weeks. I think we've seen that those probing attacks have been relatively unsuccessful in finding a soft spot in the Russian defenses. I think they will continue to conduct these probing attacks, perhaps a bit more. But if we're back to the status quo of where we were 72 hours ago, and there is no opportunity because of the political situation in Moscow, I just think we've got a long summer ahead of us.
Okay, General Kimmitt, I'm going to leave it there. I appreciate your time today very much. Thank you.